television that does what we're about to do here. We call it the Mix It Up segment because we bring on thoughtful, real people for real conversations. We call it the Mix It Up because we bring on a Democrat and a Republican. I throw out the topics of the day, sit back, mix up a cold drink. They mix it up on the topics. One rule, thoughtful conversation. At the end, we shake hands with our friends. Two of my favorites joining us today. Joe Pinion, Republican strategist, business leader, and philanthropist, joins us on the right. And Vela, unfortunately for me, he's on Skype today, but a senior advisor to Joe Biden and a very thoughtful Democrat, might I add. Guys, thanks for joining us today for Mix It Up on Liquid Lunch.
Good to be here.
Do we have Mo? Mo is not yet with us. So, Joey, what's happening? Since you've been here last, was not that long ago, but there's a lot going on out there. And this impeachment stuff is getting absolutely crazy, if you ask me. Now, they voted to impeach our president, right? But at the same time, Nancy Pelosi won't turn over the articles. What's happening here?
Look, I think impeachment in and of itself was political malpractice. I mean, now the fact that they won't even submit the articles of impeachment to the Senate borders on gross misconduct. They've dragged America into this quagmire. I think I said last week that Nancy Pelosi basically wants to keep America stranded in impeachment purgatory until the end of time because somehow they believe that that's going to be an advantage for them. Turns out, if you look at what's happening in Wisconsin, you have Donald Trump basically beating all the Democrats that are running for president after basically being underwater for the first 3 years of his presidency. We look at the 6 closest contested states in 2016. Trump is now resurgent. So again, issue by issue, Democrats want to talk about polls. To paraphrase from that great Dr. Martin Luther King, they've succumbed to the tranquilizing drug of national polls. And the reality is that if you look at the data of those same polls, President Trump is actually realistically getting ready to give them the same thing he gave them in 2016, which is a hot L.
It's pretty, to me, it's become more and more clear that Trump is going to run away with this thing. There was a poll that was out just a couple days ago, a CBS YouGov poll, where they said that, although Joe Biden's leading, right, they polled like 1,500 likely Democratic primary voters, and they asked if they were enthusiastic about who they're voting for. 66% of Democrats who said they were going to vote for Bernie Sanders said that they were enthusiastic about it. 49% of those who said they were voting for Joe Biden said they were enthusiastic. So, right, more than half the people who are saying they may vote for Joe Biden are not enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, look, I think the reason why Joe Biden is the front runner is because, again, he has the capacity to go into places like Pennsylvania, go into places like Wisconsin, and be able to contest those, disenfranchised Republicans and those independents. But ultimately, there is definitely a enthusiasm gap when you talk about what's happening on the left. Democrats want to talk about Republicans, but meanwhile, to me, they're on a collision course with a brokered convention. They are more divided than ever before. It really actually puts Republicans to shame if, in the case, Democrats didn't have Trump derangement syndrome. So I think really that's really what we're looking at right now. The new framework for this 2020 campaign is really the fact that Democrats really have lost the pulse of the nation. Even sitting here talking about what happened with Iran, Democrats, if the go.
Joey, let's bring in Mo Vela. We got Mo on the line with us. We got Mo. Hey, Mo, how are you?
Hey, guys, how are you?
There he is. Great. So, Mo, I don't know if you heard what we were just talking about. We were just getting into this impeachment stuff. And, 66% of the Democrats who said they're going to vote for Bernie are enthusiastic about it. Only 49% of Joe Biden voters are enthusiastic. Seems like you guys on the left have an enthusiasm problem with you candidates.
You know what? I've always shot straight with you guys. You're my 2 favorite Republicans in the world. And I have to tell you, if that type of enthusiasm exists for Bernie Sanders, I'm scared as hell. That really worries the hell out of me. But I don't think we're lacking enthusiasm for all the other candidates as well. They're all drawing large crowds. They're all drawing tremendous poll numbers. I'm talking about Biden and Warren and Buttigieg and so on and so forth. So I don't think we have an enthusiasm gap. I just worry about where some of it might be focused.
So, Mo, I want to get into this Iran stuff. I want to hear what you and Joe think about that. Let's take a look at Pompeo was out on the circuit this weekend. Let's take a look what Secretary of State Mike Pompeo had to say about this.
Yeah.
If you're looking for imminence, you needn't look no further than the days that led up to the strike that was taken against Soleimani. And then you, in addition to that, have what we could clearly see were continuing efforts on behalf of this terrorist to build out a network of campaign activities that were going to lead potentially to the death of many more Americans. It was the right decision. We got it right.
Key part I heard there was the Secretary of State saying it was the right decision. Mo, what do you think?
Well, I'm with Rand Paul for the first time in my entire lifetime. When he said you have to be brain dead to believe what the Secretary is saying about why they did this. Look, the man that was assassinated was a horrible person, evil. There's no doubt about all that. I'm not quibbling with that he was assassinated. I have very serious concerns about why and how and why now. And I think we as Americans deserve to know the answers to those questions. I'm not prepared to say that it was politically motivated yet, although that possibility exists. But I do say it is certainly coming from a place of tremendous ineptitude when you have no strategy on what the hell you're going to do after you kill him.
All right. Well, I thank you in advance, Mo, for not using any foul language today.
Did I curse?
No, not today. You didn't. No, not today, Joe. I think that to me this is projecting power. Like if we say we're not going to take your crap anymore, we're going to do something about it. And when you got one of your top commanders there in the theater, I would say, leading an effort against our embassy, I think he's fair game.
I mean, look, I think if the knock against, Democrats is that they cannot be trusted to keep America safe, then they clearly just failed their 2020 security pop quiz. You have basically, somebody who is a mass murderer. I don't know how we could be equivocating on the fact that this is somebody who was a threat to security around the world, had used women and children to engage in the terrorism in the region, and plotting to do so outside of the region. So the notion that somehow that this was a bad thing for us to engage in, that somehow now that we've gone from Elizabeth Warren saying he was a bad man, but to now saying that he was a ranking official and he needs to be, afforded certain respects and dignities. He had no respect or dignity for human life, and certainly none for America. So look, at the end of the day, I think, again, Democrats are tone deaf when it comes to this issue. I think, yes, we need to talk about having a plan. We need to remember that, Operation Iraqi Freedom took all of 21 days. We're still in Iraq 17 years later. Yeah. So we have to have that conversation and be wiser than we were before. But the notion that Democrats are going to sit here and you have everyone from Ilhan Omar to people in pop culture like, Colin Kaepernick talking about, oh, this was a terrible, terrible thing and we're deeply troubled, to me, shows realistically why President Trump, in spite of everything, is still probably the favorite to win in 2020.
I want to give you the final word. You joined us a little late. But
First of all, I'm not silly enough, having so much experience in the White House twice, I'm not silly enough to believe everything everyone says. So I don't agree with whoever that was sharing their thoughts on the fact that there was some imminent threat. We don't know that yet. We have not seen that. And I will withhold judgment on that until I see the evidence and the facts. But as to who's going to keep America safe, all I've got to do is remind you 8 years of Barack Obama's leadership. We were as safe as we've ever been. And we were all happy. We weren't yelling at each other. We weren't hating one another.
No, we weren't all happy, Mo. We weren't all happy.
Look, if you're going to go kill foreign military leaders, you've got to do it with strategic and wise direction and vision. Right. That is not what happened here. All right. Again, great that he's dead. I agree with him being gone.
All right, we finally agree on something.
Let's do it smart.
All right,
up with hope, down with dope.
Mo, Vela, Joe Pinion, thanks for mixing it up with us today. Mo, we got to get you back in here in the studio for a real liquid lunch one of these days.
You know I look a lot better in person. I'm mad at you for making me do it on Skype again. I look horrible.
All right, well, you look great, and you look even better in studio. You look great sitting there watching Liquid Lunch. Stay right there. Don't go anywhere. James Robertson's coming up next to talk about Dead Men Tell No Tales. And that supposes that Jeffrey Epstein's actually dead, which I disagree with. But we'll talk about that more right after this.